It's November 26, 2018. Let the record reflect that the mayor and all commissioners are present in addition to Town Manager Hazen Blodgett, Town Attorney Charles Buckley, Board Clerk Lori Canapino, and our Communications Officer Maureen Keith. With that, I'd like to ask Mr. Urban for the invocation this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As everyone knows, I like to dig into history and find different prayers, use it throughout. And this one happens to be the first National Day of Thanksgiving prayer and proclamation by George Washington. I thought it was very befitting. And he gave it in September of 1789. And after the actual day that they proclaimed as Thanksgiving, George Washington attended services at St. Paul's Chapel in New York City, and he donated craft beer and food to imprisoned debtors in the city. So I thought we'd tie that in a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and give the prayer and proclamation by George Washington in 1789. So, whereas it is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey his will, to be grateful for his benefits, and humbly to employ his protection and favor, and whereas both houses of Congress have by their joint committee requested to me to recommend to the people of the United States a day of public thanksgiving and prayer to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many signal favors of the Almighty God, especially by affording them an opportunity peacefully to establish a form of government for their safety and happiness. Now, therefore, I do recommend a sign Thursday, the 26th day of November, next to be devoted by the people of these states to the services of the great and glorious being who is the beneficent author of all good that was, that is, or that will be, that we may then all unite in rendering unto him our sincere and humble thanks for this kind care and protection of the people of this country, previous to their becoming a nation, for the signal and manifold mercies and the favorable interpositions of his providence, which we experience in the course and conclusion of this late war, for the great degree of tranquility, union, and plenty, which we have since enjoyed, for peaceable and rational manner, in which we have been enabled to establish constitutions of government for our safety and happiness, and particularly this national one now lately instituted for the civil and religious liberty with which we are blessed, and the means we have of acquiring and diffusing useful knowledge, and in general for all great and various favors which he hath been pleased to confer upon us. And also that we may then unite in most humble offering our prayers and supplications to the great Lord and ruler of nations, and beseech him to pardon our national and other transgressions, to enable us all, whether in public or private stations, to perform our several and relative duties properly and punctually, to render our national government a blessing to all the people by constantly being a government of wise, just, and constitutional laws, discreetly and faithfully executed and obeyed, to protect and guide all sovereigns and nations, especially such as those who have shown kindness unto us, and to bless them with good government and peace and concord, to promote the knowledge and practice of true religion and virtue, and the increase of science among them and us, and generally to grant unto all mankind such a degree of temporal prosperity as he alone knows to be best. George Washington, 1789.
Thank you, Mr. Urban. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, the next item on the agenda is items to be added. Mr. Manager, do we have anything?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, no items to add to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Next item is public comment. You'll have 4 minutes to speak on any subject, and we have one person signed up this evening, Chuck Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. Honored to be here again. Chat with you a couple of things related to the life of our community. By the way, I live at 4704 Biltmore Forest Drive, Matthews, North Carolina. We love these days of November. They give us two of our very finest national holidays, Veterans Day and Thanksgiving. And both of these holidays remind us that all that we have in this country we owe to the gracious gifting of God and to the women and men who through the years have fought to preserve it. So if you take away everything we celebrate on Veterans Day and on Thanksgiving Day, we'd have very little left. The reason we need holidays like this is that we always tend to take bows and congratulate ourselves for blessings that are really gifts from the heroism and the sacrifice of others. I feel exactly the same way about the Martin Luther King holiday each year in January. Dr. King did so much to draw this nation's attention to the inequities occurring for many. And we've made great progress, but we must not rest until all persons who are created equal, in fact, are equal. Hence, I think most of you know, we'll be celebrating our third annual Martin Luther King weekend here in Matthews on January the 20th and the 21st. And I hope each of you will put those dates on your calendars and make every commitment to be present. We've got a schedule of activities, and I've got announcements for each of you all to be able to receive, to be able to know all about those things. And your presence is most important for these activities and events, and your presence is most needed as a community leader. People take their cues from each of you all. So we hope that you'll put an X on the calendar and be a part of these special events as we honor a remarkable American citizen right here in Matthews. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is recognition of our retiring street superintendent, Robert Cooper. This will be a very exciting evening for a lot of people, obviously, who are here, and for us.
Well, I think Robert's been telling us he's going to retire in 30 years, well, probably close to 30 years now. I think, Robert, the thing that I enjoy most about you is when you call me boss. You're the only person that ever called me that. Seriously, you always had such a can-do attitude, you know. Something pop up, and you always got it done, and great leadership, great service to the town, and you are going to be missed. That's for sure.
Yeah, Robert, you've been my go-to person for quite a while now. Anytime I needed something, you're the first person on my list, and most of the times it was, Mr. I'll get taken care of, whether it's part of your job or not. I'm really gonna miss that. But you've trained some other people up, and I think there's some other people that hopefully will fill in your shoes pretty soon. If not, your wife said she might get tired of you if you send her.
That part I believe.
But I think it speaks to, I guess, the kind of person you are. When I asked you what you're going to do when you're done, you said, you know, I haven't spent enough time with my mom. When I go home, I'm going to help her out around the yard. My wife's got some things that I can really do. Just enjoy the family. So that's awesome. And again, especially grandkids. Anyway, that's good.
Robert, I haven't gotten to know you that well, but we have had lunch together twice.
Yes, sir.
And it's always been enjoyable. I enjoy talking to you. This last one, we had an opportunity to talk about retirement and whatnot. So
You're close.
I'm close. 35 days away. I feel you're excited, and I think it's great. Congratulations. Job well done. A great career in the town. So, you don't want to come on up?
Let's give him a round of applause.
And also on behalf of the town, we want to give you this item of our appreciation. Enjoy it. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's all yours.
Rose said to tell you hello. She saw you sitting there. But it's an awesome town. I have no negative words about it. I've met so many wonderful people working here and living here so many years, and a lot of them are here tonight. It just surprised me. Sorry, Mr. Hunter, I didn't see you, tell you hello. But me and Rob worked together for many years, and it's just been great. And I appreciate everybody being here tonight, and I'll miss everybody. Thank you. Yes, you won't.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is,
I'm gonna interrupt you on vacation.
yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you all very much.
We have the recess for a regular meeting, but what I'd like to do, if there's no concerns on the part of anyone, I'd like to go ahead and move item 12F up so that Mr. Cooksey can speak to us and not have to sit through our exciting financial report and whatnot. I know you
Do you need a motion on that, Mayor?
You should.
were, yeah. So do we have a motion for that?
Yes, sir. So moved.
Second.
Is there any way he can forward the project up if we forward?
Well, if we can have him speak, we can ask that question. Is that a second?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all those in favor, all those opposed, motion carries unanimously. So Warren, we're gonna get you home early this evening.
That slide advance. Here it is. Well, gee. But I'd already registered my time. Anyway. Well, thank you, Mayor, and yep, that's working. Commissioners, staff, dedicated residents. I bring you greetings on behalf of the North Carolina Turnpike Authority. We are a business unit of the North Carolina Department of Transportation that not a lot of folks in the area have heard of just yet, but they'll be hearing more about us. We are the toll agency for the state of North Carolina, established in 2002. And for the past nearly 7 years, we've been operating the Triangle Expressway in Wake and Durham counties. One of the things we learned from opening that facility was that when doing our outreach before starting a toll facility, we should make a special effort for elected officials and civic leaders to explain what our tolling process is, because it's entirely possible that your constituents may come to you before they come to us once the facility is open. So with that, I'm pleased to present to you this evening. That was my cue. Let's see, did I turn it? It's still on. That's working. It's not advancing. I'm pleased to, there we go, maybe. Or we may just do this manually. Tolling 101, what you need to know. The laser's working, but the button didn't. This is a brief overview, technology being a wonderful thing, of how our process works. And it is highly relevant because we'll go green. 4, 3, 2, 1. Because we do have these two projects coming, both of which I'm sure you've heard about. The I-77 express lanes should open at least in part by the end of the year. And since May of 2015, we've also been constructing the Monroe Expressway to the southeast in Union County. Now, I can do a whole different presentation on what's different about these two projects, but what they have in common that doesn't get a lot of media attention is that the North Carolina Turnpike Authority is the toll collection agency for both projects. Public, private, doesn't matter in this state. NCTA handles toll collection, and we do so through our NC Quick Pass toll collection program. The first thing I'd like to make sure everybody understands about tolling in North Carolina is that we don't do toll booths. This is a personal observation, not an official Turnpike Authority one, but I think I can get away with it. Why should you have to stop to pay a toll when you are paying a toll to get somewhere faster? The entire purpose of choosing a toll facility, be it Monroe or the I-77 express lanes or the Triangle, is to get to your destination faster. So there shouldn't be a reason for you to have to slow down and stop. What we have instead of toll booths are these gantries at various spots on each facility. This is an example of a gantry on the Triangle Expressway. And to the left and to the right, you see photographs of the kind of electronic equipment that makes electronic toll collection possible and prohibits everybody from having to stop at a toll booth. We have two options to pay since we're not collecting a pay-as-you-travel. One is prepaid. Our NC Quick Pass prepaid transponder account works pretty straightforward, like most accounts, say with Starbucks or a school lunch program. You open the account with the Turnpike Authority, pre-fund it, minimum $20 to start. List your vehicles with us on that one particular account. So your household has one account and you list your vehicles on it. And then tolls are deducted from that amount that you've prepaid. For folks who prefer not to do that, we do have, as I noted, the technology on the gantries to provide a postpaid option we call bill by mail. We take photos of the license plates of vehicles that go under the gantries, check with DMV, send the bill to the registered owner of the license plate. Now, after that first mailed invoice, we recently, as in last year, unveiled an option for folks to get that invoice through an email address. So for folks who don't want to use the prepaid account, but are regular users of a toll facility, they can get future bills by email if they like. Doesn't change the key difference between the two, however. In addition to the time difference, prepaid versus postpaid, NC Quick Pass prepaid transponder tolls are 35% less than the bill by mail rate. That's one of the many elements that guide us established by state law, is that the bill by mail rate is the base rate, and we are authorized by law to offer a discount for prepaid tolls, which we do for the prepaid NC Quick Pass transponder accounts, 35% less than the base bill by mail rate. 3 transponders will meet most people's needs. We do have some specialty ones, but the first one I'll start with and wave in the air is our standard NC Quick Pass sticker. As you see from the photo, it's a sticker that just goes on your windshield. You can hide it behind your rearview mirror in most cases. And this is, think of it as your local option. For the free transponder, we will give you this sticker for every car you register. You can pay tolls through the prepaid account in North Carolina on Peach Pass facilities in Georgia, and for Sun Pass facilities in Florida, and vice versa. Anyone with a Peach Pass or a Sun Pass can also pay their tolls in North Carolina with their existing transponder account. So again, this free sticker for each of your cars when you open an account is your local option, North Carolina, local and southeast option, Georgia and Florida. For folks who want to travel a little more broadly, we have the more traditional box version, the NC Quick Pass Easy Pass. I'll wave an example of that in the air as well to highlight from the windshield there. It too sticks on the windshield, this time with Velcro straps. There's more technology in here, so there is a one-time cost. It's $7.40 plus tax. But with this transponder, you can prepay tolls in all the Easy Pass states as well. So this works not only in North Carolina and with the Peach Pass and Sun Pass in Florida, but also anywhere to the Northeast and to the Midwest you see an Easy Pass sign. Our NC Quick Pass Easy Pass transponder deducts tolls from your account as well. We've recently unveiled, and I don't have an example to wave in front of you, a special type of transponder that is particularly geared for the I-77 project. Our existing transponders work on I-77, but one of the provisions of that project is free travel for high occupancy vehicles of 3 or more. So excuse me while I take a breath, NC Quick Pass Easy Pass Flex, it's a lot of words, for an additional cost of $16.49 plus tax one time, has a switch on it. When the switch is in the other position, not shown on the image, and you don't see the words HOV on, it works like any other hard case transponder. You can pay tolls in the Easy Pass states, Quick Pass, Peach Pass, and Sun Pass. But if you're on the I-77 express lanes and there are 3 or more people in your car, you can flip that switch and obtain free travel in those lanes in the most easy and flexible manner, hence the term flex. That doesn't apply to the Monroe Expressway. It applies only to I-77, one of the differences between the two projects. But that's what this transponder was developed for. Again, all of our transponders work on all of our facilities, but this one allows for that the quick access to the HOV exemption. For those who go the bill by mail route, we've designed our envelope redesigned it on several occasions to make sure folks realize there's an invoice in there that needs to be handled promptly. And it works like any other bill. Arrives in the U.S. mail, Open it up, looks like a bill. There's the bit at the top that tells how much is due and when it's due by. We include a photo of the license plate, so you can triple check both our computer read and our human staff read to make sure it was sent to the right location. And then there's a list of all the toll gantries that license plate was photographed going under. We aim to be very customer service oriented because there are multiple ways to pay this bill. Probably the quickest and easiest is online for folks who are comfortable with online commerce at ncquickpass.com, our website. We can also take payment over the phone through our toll-free number, 8777-MyPass. We'll take a good old-fashioned stamp check and envelope as well to a post office box number, and there are folks who pay their bills that way. And finally, and I'll talk a bit more about this in a moment, we have QuickPass customer service centers where folks can work with a live human being in person. So these 4 ways to pay for that bill by mail that is due within 30 days of the bill being sent out. Now, I have to emphasize again, there is that bill by email option we've unveiled, and we have several thousand people who've signed up for it. When you get your bill in the mail and go online to pay it, you'll see an option to sign up for future bills to receive by email. Doesn't change the bill amount, just changes how easily it comes to you. Now, by this point in the presentation, there's usually someone thinking, well, what if I don't pay that bill? And so the next slide is called What If I Don't Pay? And I would like to emphasize that we are governed strictly by state law on this point. The legislature, when it created the Turnpike Authority and some subsequent tweaks, I've got the references there, Mr. Attorney, you can check up on me, NC 136, 89, et cetera. Key point to note is the first invoice in North Carolina contains only the bill by mail toll rate. That's all the first invoice has, is the tolls incurred. Pay that and everything's done with. If we have to send a second invoice, however, state statute establishes we carry forward that unpaid balance like a traditional second bill, but now we add a $6 processing fee and any new tolls incurred since the first bill. If we have to send a third invoice, state law dictates that we add the processing fee, again, and a $25 civil penalty. So now we're up to 6 plus 6 plus 25, $37 in fees and penalties on this third invoice that can be avoided by paying it the first time. To the extent that there's good news about that civil penalty, the good news is it occurs only once in this type of cycle, but the bad news that goes along with it is if we have to send the fourth invoice, we're back to just the $6 processing fee, but at this point, the Turnpike Authority is one of several agencies in the state that can place a registration block on the license plate. You go to DMV's website, they have a list of things that happen that can lead to a registration block. At the very bottom of the list, failure to pay a toll bill with the North Carolina Turnpike Authority. So that's the step-by-step process on bill by mail that state law establishes and that we want to make sure we communicate so that folks don't get surprised by it. We can also, after that fourth invoice, by the way, send the bill to a collections agency. That's an option available to us under law as well. Turning to some details about the Monroe Expressway, I've made one change to this presentation since I started giving it some months ago. It opens to traffic tomorrow. I wish I could speed that project up, Commissioner, but I can't do better than tomorrow. We are comfortable that saying that in this 18-mile-long toll facility, you'll be able to save more than 15 minutes of travel time end to end, in large part because you'll be avoiding more than 25 traffic signals on existing US 74. The Monroe Expressway is a 4-lane, median-divided, full control access highway, signed at 65 miles an hour, with interchanges where you see the green dots to get on and get off, and toll gantries in between the interchanges. So we are looking forward to seeing our customers start with us when we open it up tomorrow. How much that will cost? Well, in many respects, except for the lack of toll booths, the Monroe Expressway is a traditional toll road. So although we have all electronic tolling, the tolls are structured to pay back the debt that was issued to build the lanes. And so we have basically a fixed rate structure with some escalation for inflation on an annual basis. The lowest rate I can quote you is 14 cents a mile. If you're in a 2-axle Class 1 vehicle and you've prepaid tolls through a transponder account, end to end, it's $2.54 to travel the Monroe Expressway, the full 18 miles. If you do not have a transponder and you're in a 2-axle vehicle, the bill by mail rate's $3.92. I'll save you doing the math of 254 divided by 0.6, it's $3.92. I mentioned 2-axle Class 1 because we charge tolls on the Monroe Expressway based on axle count. And again, those transponder tolls are 35% less. The vehicle classifications go as follows. Class 1, a standard 2-axle vehicle. 3-axle vehicles are known as Class 2, and they are charged twice the toll rate to travel on the expressway. That's twice the transponder rate for those with a transponder, twice the bill-by-mail rate for those who get billed by mail. And a Class 3 vehicle is 4 or more axles, charged 4 times the basic rate, 4 times the Class 1 rate for transponder, 4 times the rate bill by mail. Next up, the rates will be shown on signage on the expressway itself, showing what the transponder quick pass rate and the bill by mail rate to the next exit is, and to the end of the expressway, which will be officially signed as 74 bypass. But at the Turnpike Authority, we're just going to keep calling it the Monroe Expressway. And note the multiplier sign as well for 3 axles and 4 axles. The rate chart point to point's available on our ncquickpass.com website. Here's an example of the Class 1 2-axle vehicle transponder rates point to point. So for example, we've gotten a lot of interest from faculty and staff at the university in the town of Wingate, interested in what their daily costs would be to avoid all those traffic signals on 74 and use the Monroe Expressway to get to and from work. If, for example, they live in Matthews, and we point them out, your entry point would be exit 255, your exit point would be exit 270, Austin Cheney Road, just north of the university, $2.12 transponder rate each way for a 2-axle vehicle. Turning to 77 right quick and talking a bit more about a different aspect of the 77 express lanes, there are some options for free travel in the 77 express lanes that don't exist in the Monroe Expressway. Motorcycles can travel for free in express lanes under federal law, and we have a special motorcycle transponder that folks with motorcycles can get and allow them to travel toll-free in the I-77 express lanes while still being charged a toll for the Monroe Expressway. I covered the NC Quick Pass Easy Pass Flex, but at this point I'll note there is a 4-step process to traveling toll-free in the I-77 express lanes for free. Must have an NC Quick Pass transponder, must be 3 or more occupants in the vehicle, have to set the status, more about that in the next slide, to show that the vehicle is an HOV 3+. And finally, it's a 2-axle vehicle because only 2-axle vehicles are allowed into the I-77 express lanes. A final free travel on the I-77 express lanes are transit, public transit buses. We have special transponders for CATs, for example, that will allow them to travel with their buses in the express lanes toll-free, which means anyone traveling on that bus will not see any kind of increase in their fare to cover any sort of toll. There will be no tolls for buses, for public transit buses, rather, in the I-77 express lanes. There's one category of vehicle that can travel for free in any toll facility in North Carolina with a special transponder for that purpose, and that's first responders. State law allows that exemption, and we have issued it. So police, fire, sheriff, ambulance, we have been working with a variety of agencies in the area to make sure their vehicles are equipped with that transponder so that as they respond to calls with their vehicle with lights and sirens, they don't have to pay a toll to do that to help us. The high occupancy vehicle provisions I mentioned, here's how you set status. Again, the easiest way to do it is going to be with that switchable transponder. You can set it directly from the transponder before getting into the I-77 express lanes. Please don't flip afterward. But we heard some feedback from folks in the Lake Norman area that buying a more expensive transponder was not what they had in mind when they heard that you could travel toll-free in the express lanes with a 3 or more occupancy vehicle. So before those lanes open, we will be unveiling a mobile app and special website where our regular transponder customers, whether the sticker or the hard case, can register that transponder on the mobile app, on the website, and set HOV status prior to travel, at least 15 minutes prior to travel. An example I use is, for example, a family in Mooresville where one of the family members may have the sticker transponder for commuting purposes, but is taking the whole family to a Panthers game. On the mobile app, they can use their free transponder to say from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on game day, this vehicle will be an HOV 3+ vehicle, don't charge it a toll. Likewise from say 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. for the trip back. So there will be these 2 ways to set that HOV 3+ status no matter which transponder with the Turnpike Authority you have for I-77. Hitting in the home stretch to emphasize customer service again, our toll-free number, 8777-MyPass. Customer service representatives are available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 9 to 2. Our website can handle most regular functions for both bill by mail and transponder accounts. You can sign up, manage the account, see what tolls your account has incurred 24/7 at ncquickpass.com. I mentioned the customer service centers. We have 3 of them now. We've opened one in Monroe, 3034 Winston Avenue. It's across from Target in the Navant Health Plaza. In Charlotte, the facility is at the interchange of Harris Boulevard and 45 near North Lake Mall. And then there's our original facility in Morrisville outside of Raleigh. By law, we must have a customer service center near each of our facilities, but they are not facility specific. You can do any Turnpike Authority business at any one of them. Hours of operation, again, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 9 to 2. And furthermore, I'll note from this photo that when you call our customer service toll-free number, the customer service representatives answering that number are based in our Morrisville location. So you'll call somebody who's sitting at a call station in just a facility just outside of Raleigh. I want to close with some statistics of our business to date. Prior to opening the facilities in Union County and Mecklenburg and Iredell counties, as of our third quarter 2018 report for the Triangle Expressway, this is the business we have built up in nearly 7 years of operation. We have more than 190,000 accounts established. We have issued more than 420,000 transponder accounts, or transponders, period. And although I wish it was at the 4.5 number, we are processing approximately, I'll say approximately, 4.5 million transactions per month as of the third quarter report, where a transaction is defined as any time a vehicle goes under one of those gantries. So it's quite a business we built up already from the Triangle Expressway operations, and we know these numbers will increase considerably once the Monroe Expressway is open and the I-77 express lanes are open. Again, there's our toll-free number, our website, ncquickpass.com, and our Twitter account, _quickpass. We have a horrible lack of followers, so anyone interested in Twitter, please follow us on ncquickpass.com or ncquickpass. And I'll close with a little added bonus for this audience, an I-45 update, because I know that was what I spoke to this body last, and we've made some progress since then. So we did award the contract for that project back in October. There are, we've talked about this before, multiple improvements involved. The main ones, adding the express lanes between 77 and 74, build the Weddington Road interchange, improve the East John Street interchange, widen Ballantyne Commons Parkway Bridge. We expect construction to begin summer of 2019, and according to the contract, the project should open to traffic September of 2022. I wanted to throw that in. It detracts from my overall message about NC QuickPass, but I figured this audience, it was worth it to give that update. And with that, Mayor, Board, I appreciate the time, and I'm open to any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Query?
Yes. If you have multiple vehicles with the same person, do you have to have a transponder for each one?
Yes, sir. One transponder per vehicle, a one-to-one relationship. That said, it doesn't have to be the same kind. So if you think only one of those vehicles might go out of state, you can get stickers for the rest and just get the hard case for one. A customer service center can help you best determine what your needs are there. But there must be a one-to-one relationship between the cars.
So you have to pay for each transponder then?
Well, remember, the sticker's free.
Yeah, but I'm
yeah.
talking about to get a transponder.
Yeah, but if you want the hard case, there is a cost for each one of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a farm in Anson County, so I would use this all the time, so I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I'd recommend the sticker.
If I drive my truck sometimes and my car sometimes.
We'll give you a sticker for each one. Do you travel much in Virginia or New York? Or then the sticker will do it, and we'll give you a sticker for free.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Mr.
For
Miller?
every one of the vehicles you put on the account. Yeah.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you. Warren, if I put $20 and open an account then, and I get a sticker for each vehicle in the household, I go to the beach and come back, I've used $5.08. How do I know that what my balance is 2 months later or a summer later?
When you create an account, you'll get an account number, and you can access that through the ncquickpass.com website, or you can call the toll-free number and just ask them to check.
Would that be another password to memorize?
Sadly, yes.
Okay, so I won't get an email
Well,
twice a year with a balance or anything?
You can get a monthly statement emailed to you. That's something else you can sign up for.
So I
get a
can-
monthly
I can
statement,
opt
and
in
it would
for a
just show
monthly
zero
balance.
activity for a month where you had zero activity.
If I go to the beach X amount of times and I'm negative 92 cents, what happens?
The
I
account
get a-
shouldn't get to that point. What you'll see when you sign up for the account, there's a two-page, multiple-page terms and conditions, because all commerce has terms and conditions. Terms and conditions apply. And one of the things that getting into the weeds a bit with that question, Commissioner, is that we have a formula for replenishing the account. One of the options you'll be asked to check when you create the account is, do you want automatic or manual replenishment? So if you open the account with a credit card, for example, as I have done, I check the automatic box, which means that when the account reaches 50% threshold, so when it gets to $10, my card will be charged to take it back to 20. And then after a couple of months of usage and my usage pattern gets established, if I am incurring more than $20 a month in tolls, my threshold replenishment amount will change and it will be charged accordingly. Alternatively, I could have signed up for manual, which would have sent me an email notice saying your account has reached its 50% threshold amount.
Okay.
It's time to replenish it.
Thank you.
So our goal is that we do not have customers that get into that because once we analyze usage, we set a kind of a threshold amount of 50% of what the balance ought to be for a month's usage to say you need to replenish it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Higdon?
Warren, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask anyway. Are there any plans to sunset the tolls after the roads are paid for?
It is state statute to sunset the tolls after the bonds are paid off. State law establishes that when the tolls on a facility exist to pay for bonds on that facility, when the bonds are paid off, the tolls go away.
When do you suspect that'll be for these roads?
For the Monroe
Will I still be
Expressway-
alive?
Sir?
Will
Sir?
I still be alive when it's sunsetted?
Well, the statutes that give us that direction to remove tolls when the bonds are paid off also allow us to issue bonds for a 40-year time frame. So the bonds that are backing the Monroe Expressway can be issued for up to 40 years.
And lawmakers change too.
Mr. Melton?
Thank you. Warren, when I set up my account, can I have a different bill-to address than that which the car is registered at?
Yes, you will need to tell the customer service center representative that, but your account is not directly linked to DMV when you set it up. It's housed in the Turnpike Authority systems, and so for example, when I set mine up, I had incurred a bill by mail before, so they already had my information in the system under bill by mail, and we're moving it over. But because they'd done it through DMV, through the bill by mail, I'm a junior and I go by my middle name. And so originally it was going to get set up as my transponder account is Ray Cooksey. And I said, no, that's not me, that's my dad. Set me up as Warren, and so they changed it. So yes, you can, if you have a different billable address, you can handle that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Warren.
Oh, you're very welcome. And
Appreciate
again,
that
appreciate the
information.
time. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is recess regular meeting for public hearing on right-of-way abandonment of a portion of Mount Harmony Church Road. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded by Commissioner Urban, correct? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're now in public hearing on the right-of-way, and C.J. O'Neill, can you come forward, please, to speak to this particular item?
Mayor and Board, Maureen, do you have the memo there? Thanks. There is a portion of Mount Harmony Church Road that was closed by the DOT many years ago when Stevens Mill Road was realigned. It has been vacant and is of no use to the DOT. I've talked to all the other departments, and we see no current or future use for this section of previously open right-of-way. And we'd received a petition to close that right-of-way so the land would return to the neighboring properties. I think this is needed for a development that is planned for the area. The memo is there, the map is there. It's staff's recommendation to move forward with closing that portion of right-of-way.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
Thank you. CJ, was there any type of community meeting where people, homeowners adjacent to the area were invited and made aware, other than maybe a Z or something?
I'm not aware of a meeting, but there were letters sent out to all the homeowners, adjacent homeowners. As far as I know, we have not received any comment, and nobody showed up today to comment. Well, as far as I know,
So
nobody
far.
showed up today to comment either.
Okay, thank you.
If I may respond, Commissioner, also in addition to certified letters to all the adjacent owners, it was published in the newspaper 4 successive weeks identifying the area to be abandoned. And additionally, there were 2 places on the proposed area to be abandoned where it was physically posted on the roadway to be abandoned. So there were multiple notices to the neighborhood about this.
Thank you. Thank you.
CJ, is there anyone that lives along this that may be using the particular road that we're talking about abandoning, using that as a driveway or have access onto that road to get over to Stevens Mill? Or
Yeah, it's my understanding that the petitioner owns or is going or has under contract both properties on both sides of the road. So if there
Okay.
were any, it would become the petitioner's.
Okay. So, I mean, basically, looking at what normally goes on, that's predicated on purchase or rezoning of the property. So
Correct.
if we abandon it and then the purchase doesn't go through, the development doesn't go through, then those people would still be living there. So I guess I'm still asking the question, do they utilize that section of the road to gain easement to their property at this particular point?
I don't know that answer. We don't have a way of cutting off a parcel. I think each parcel has an access to the existing roads that's not through that parcel. So the house on the corner, you see the portion of the driveway?
Right.
They have another portion that goes out to Stevens Mill Road.
So they have access through Stevens Mill.
This item has already, or this parcel has already been through the rezoning process and was approved by the board under the name Mount Harmony Towns, and is currently in the development review, so the development review engineers and planners are looking at it.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, CJ.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we'll open the floor up to any individuals who want to speak in support or opposition to this abandonment of Mount Harmony Church Road. A portion, excuse me, of Mount Harmony Church Road. So is there anyone who would like to speak in support or opposition? Yes, sir. If you could come to the microphone and state your name and address.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, my name is Kent Jones. I'm the attorney for the developer of this property. I just wanted to just reiterate what was already said, which is that we currently have all of those parcels affected by this strip to be abandoned under contract. None of the parcels, all of the owners have consented to us filing that petition. And as far as we know, none of them are using that for any access, or nor have for some period of time, and all have direct access to public right-of-way.
Okay.
And if there are any questions of any of you, I'm happy to try to answer them the best I can.
I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in support or opposition? Okay, seeing none, we would need to return back to our regular meeting. Do we have a motion to do so? Motion made by Commissioner Melton.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Urban. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is reports from advisory boards and committees. The Veterans Advisory Committee. We have the chair of the committee with us this evening, Tom Cannon. Welcome.
Thank you for letting me speak with you briefly this evening. to talk a little bit about some of the things we've been doing over the past 3 or 4 months, a quarterly report. As you know, we meet the first Wednesday of the month, 7 a.m. Here. Many of you have come to our meetings, and we'll be asking some of you all, or all of you all sequentially, to be coming to meetings starting next year. We've got membership roles of 20, and we're divided into 4 subcommittees. That has not changed. Some of the recent things we've done, we were part of the Matthews Alive event. We had about 8 or 9 people participating in the parade in 3 vehicles. Then we manned MVAC tables down on the Women's Club Service League's lawn for a couple of days, talking about what MVAC does to people who came by. Another thing we've done, based on a recommendation by one of the councilmen, is we procured a POW-MAA flag with our funds, and it's now located back here in sequence with all the other flags. We continue to update ongoing 3-month rolling calendar of events of interest to veterans for the town website. We're maintaining veteran information display case down below, just an interest for the library. We did not run this next event or lead this next event, but we participated in the Veterans Day event led by Post 235 in Stumptown Park and the cemetery. We did recommend that the town council get involved, the mayor get involved, and we appreciate your attendance there and the mayor's speech. It was very nice. But the cemetery was very special, recognizing the deaths of 2 Matthews veterans who died during the end of the Great War. One on the last day. We thought we ought to have a Veteran of the Year program, and we talked through it and come up with a recommendation. This is what MVAC is recommending. We've gone to the mayor to get the mayor's approval and to strike and permission to strike a medal, which this individual will wear. We bought 10 of those, and we hope to be able to award this to our candidate for a man at the next town hall meeting in December. The executive committee, you know me, you know Bill, Jack Santanio handles our funds, the treasurer, Wilson York is our new secretary. Basically, one of the things we're doing is oversighting the budgeted funds that we get from the year. We do rely on Post 235 as a prime resource for meeting individual veterans' needs and Matthews. But we get support from a number of other organizations, one being Rotary, one being Mount Moriah Baptist Church, and others. We think that's important. We do maintain close liaison with the Mecklenburg County Veterans Council, Veterans Service Organization, and Veterans Bridge Home. We meet with them quarterly. Now, there are a couple of things that are coming up that I think are important. There's a Boy Scout who is an Eagle candidate. He wants to work on a project for the town. He's gone to Post 235 for their support. What he wants to do is put together weatherproof boxes that can be put around our town in various locations. This is one of the things MVAC was thinking about doing, but this young lad is doing it, and so our role was to think through where would we recommend to the town to put these 3 weatherproof boxes. So we've gone through that drill, and our recommendation for that is one down on the green out front, one at the police department, and one around the communities. And we would like the town to bless that, because that's town ground, it's town property. I believe this young lad is going to come before you in your next town hall meeting to talk a little bit more about what his vision is. But these will be weatherproof boxes. They'll be out so that people who want to retire the colors town to be able to give us 3 locations, give this young lad 3 locations to put these rubber boxes. We recommend the town support a veteran and a sponsor, probably a relative, for Honor Flight in May. We have, one of our individuals is identifying a Matthews candidate and a relative that will come before you next month with, for the Honor Flight. This needs to be done, the paperwork needs to be in January, be able to meet the requirements to make the 11 May flight. But we're working through that now. If the individual is a World War II vet, pre-war vet, he's not charged. The sponsor or the person going with him, I think, is a $400 charge. Otherwise, it'll be $500 to one and $400 to the other. And it's the intention of the NBAC to go ahead and fund that, depending upon how things play out. So that's coming up, and we would like the town to endorse that also. Now, we continue to evaluate the things that we're doing within our bylaws and providing recommendations to you all. About a year and a half ago, we completed a lot of the things we wanted to be doing, and several of our members said, wait a minute, let's now look at what other things we need to be doing. And so we went through some revisions of what we're doing and our current organization with our 4 subcommittees as a result of that. We're at the point now of thinking, going to do that again. So I suspect next month we're going to be looking at what we're doing, where we're going, the types of things we want to be doing. And based on that, how do we want to be organized and perfect to move forward? So that is coming up, and we will share those with you either in January or February. The last time we went through this exercise, it took 2 or 3 months under Joe Alpar for us to be able to go through that exercise. So it may take several months for us to do this time, but it's coming up starting next month. I've talked a little bit about events. We're not really an event-driven organization. We do some events, we do some small things. The Purple Heart sign celebration we had last August is an example. We were doing here in Hood, we were doing the Vietnam War, Korean War exhibit. That's a lot for us to be able to handle. Thank heavens we had help from close to 35 on that. We'll be looking at those types of things and potentially looking at other organizations who might handle these large events under our guidance in the future. But we will be looking in the next couple of months at what are the things that we want to be doing between now and the end of the fiscal year and then moving into next fiscal year. Our prime role is an advisory organization to you all on matters of interest to veterans and their families, and we continue to do that for our bylaws. But we do get involved in other things. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Cannon? Mr. Melton?
Thank you, Mayor. Captain, how well are your meetings attended from your 20 members? About how many show up for the meetings?
We get a quota, we get a quorum of about 8 or 9, sometimes 10, 12. We're right now down to about 15 members.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you. I just have a question on the honor flight on the 11th of May. You want a veteran and a relative to fly in the plane when they do a flyby? Or it's an honor flight to where?
Honor flight going to D.C.
Okay.
Going up to Washington. And it's a tour through the
Memorials?
Capitol, the memorials, and then they return that evening. I think they get back around 8:30 at night. So it's a full day exercise. But it generally, it's a veteran and a sponsor in cases it's a relative, but it doesn't necessarily happen.
Okay.
It's
It's on a commercial flight.
Very good, thank you. At first, I was confusing it with the Novant Memorial Day celebration when we have a plane fly over and someone would be on that, but that was my misunderstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, I did have one on the honor flight. Did you say that a veteran from World War II or from Korea would fly free? Okay. Is there a reason why Vietnam is not included in that, or?
I may be able to answer that a little bit. Rotary Club started doing this 10 or 12 years ago. We were at the enabling stages of doing that. The whole thing was designed with 3,500 World War II veterans dying a day, had never been given recognition since World War II. So it's a national thing. It's not just a local thing. And so the object was to get every WW2 veteran a day of recognition in Washington, D.C. And they go to the different, the WW2 monument. They go to they travel. And usually a senator or something may have a comment or two to them, but it's a big deal. And so, but it's been going on now, maybe 12 years, I'm not sure. But it was designed specifically because of the total number of WW2 veterans who were dying every day and had never gotten recognition for their service in World War II. So that's why it was designed. And they've obviously then expanded it to the Korean War as well, because they are now the ones who are dying at a high rate now as well.
Yeah, very good. The others? Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for Tom. Okay, the next item is a consent agenda. Do we have a motion for items 10A through 10E?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Query, seconded by Commissioner Melton. Any discussion?
Yes, I do have a comment on this. This morning, I corresponded with Lori, and we made we determined a clerical editorial change to one sentence in the minutes regarding when we were having our discussion at the property at 269 Trade Street. Just reworded one sentence. Its meaning is the same, but made it a little more clear. I just want to bring that to everybody's attention.
Okay.
I have the exact words if you want me to read them, but.
Is that included in the
Has it been
attachment?
updated, Lori?
It is not. That's
Okay.
the attachment.
There was one sentence that was just worded kind of strangely.
Well, maybe if you could just read that for the record so we
Okay,
have an opportunity here.
what it says right now is, when it says he, it's meaning me, it says he generally agrees with the suggestion that the town should not buy the properties that people don't want to see developed, but due to the site's status as an exceptional piece of property, he is suggesting purchasing a property since he became an elected official. That's not exactly what I said, or what my intention was, so I suggested changing that with he generally agrees with the suggestion that the town should not buy the properties that people don't want to see developed, but has not advocated this since being elected. However, he believes the piece of property in question is an exceptional and merits being purchased and preserved as a park.
Okay.
And that's more in line with what I said, I think, than the first sentence, just a little. Suggesting purchasing a property since he became an elected official is not really what if
Yeah.
I said that, that's not what, that's not the
Yeah.
intent of what I said.
Understood.
So I just want to bring that to everyone's attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is unfinished business. Receive an update on the 2018 Planning Conference to-do list. Mr. Manager?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. We have the to-do list. I'm going to read from the spreadsheet there. So item number 3 from the planning conference is John Street. Obviously, we continue to work pretty hard on this. The 6th meeting is scheduled for December 6th, and the purpose is to discuss the results of the November 5th meeting with the committee. So we will review that in 2 weeks from well, I don't know, less than 2 weeks, I guess. The next item is number 14, implementation of the streetscape plan or program. So we are going to discuss that at the mini conference. I think we'll have a great discussion. That'll be on December 7th, Friday the 7th. The next item is number 17. This one deals with facilitate better communication with the planning board and board of commissioners. That is also an item on the mini conference agenda, really to try to figure out how we're doing and what can we do to facilitate better communications. And you guys may be comfortable with communications where they stand. Relocate handrails at Town Hall. Samples, you saw the samples at 5:30. I guess the way I would say that, I assume everybody's comfortable with it. I think it looks good, it's sturdy, it looks sturdy. If you have any concerns about that, if you'd share that with CJ and I. If you don't, we'll assume there's consensus around that color and design, and we'll move forward with that, because you guys approved that budget item a couple months ago. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. CJ, the sample, the handrail portion is a round extruded section as opposed to the molded profile that's on top of the guardrail. Did they do that for purposes of convenience, or was there something code related? Because it makes sense to me that the guardrail profile and the handrail profile be the same, if permissible, by ADA. Thank you.
So CJ, you're gonna find that out and email it to the board? Okay. The next item is number 36, deals with Crestdale. So we do know we received 120, and I think the board knows this too, we did receive $125,000 appropriation from the Senate for improvements on Crestdale. We expect another $125,000 from the House. The issue is that this $125,000 was actually appropriated in NCDOT's budget. And what the question arose was, can you spend NCDOT dollars on local roads? Because Crestdale is a local road. We have not gotten the answer to that. Representative Brawley was whatever critical in getting that. I have not reached out to him since the election. I do need to do that, but that is an unclosed loop of whether or not we have. So right now we have $125,000. We're trying to see if we can get our hands on another $125,000, but that, we don't know the answer to that yet.
I think he's in Raleigh for a mini session tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, number 41, this is dealing with firearms, and we will discuss this item at the first meeting in January. It seems like there's consensus on the board to move forward with repealing that discharge of firearms in the town limits. Yes, sir.
Best I can remember back from the motion that was made to approve those three applications. Those three applications were approved in one motion, and a part of that language of the motion was to direct the town attorney and the chief to develop that ordinance and have it approved.
Yes, that's better. That's better that's better clarification.
So I mean, we voted to repeal it. We just need to approve the language of the repeal.
You didn't vote to approve, you just voted to prepare, staff to prepare the ordinance for your action in January.
Okay. Fair enough, thank you.
Got a question. First, okay. Were you contacted by a resident about finding a dead deer in their backyard with 2 arrows in the neck?
Was not.
He said I think he contact Public Works. I told him to contact, he wanted to know how to get rid of it and why it should be there. The first thing I thought was Public Works, and I think they took care of getting rid of the carcass, but it had a concern about why there was 2 arrows. It looked like they were from a crossbow, he said. But they were in spring water, and that's a good ways from where we allocated that. His thought was maybe it's coming from that vacant property at the corner of Idlewild and Stallings Road that is vacant in there, and somebody's hunting in there, and I don't know whether y'all made any comment to the police department about maybe they ought to check on that or not.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not follow up. Our crew did, was able to go out there when that individual called and requested assistance with that. But I have followed up with the crew members to see if they could ascertain the nature of how the deer are out there.
Okay, could we let the police department know that maybe they need to check out in that area? Because that's not one of the authorized areas for those folks to hunt, so, where the deer was seemed like a long way for it to run from the areas we had authorized.
That's why
If I may, one further on this topic. Would it be appropriate to ask Maureen to put out communication to the citizens? I mean, we've still got a month and a week of deer season left, to let folks know that it is illegal to discharge firearms within town limits without that permit. I think there's a mistaken perception that if you've got enough land, you can bow hunt with a crossbow or whatever.
Yeah, we'll do that. That makes sense.
I've got a neighbor, I get into an argument with him every year about whether it's legal or not.
Maybe it was him.
Maybe.
All right, item number 54 is clarifying expectation advisory boards. That's going to be discussed at the mini conference as well. Number 70 is complete update of town vision statements, and we worked on that tonight. We made some progress. We will, continue to work on this and finish it up as quickly as possible. That's all I have with the planning conference to-do list. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Any questions for the manager? Mr. Higdon?
Just a comment on number 35, the handrails. If we modify them to buy something non-standard and it costs more money, I'd like to be made aware of that. If we're having to pay significantly extra to get a special.
It's the same extrusion that's on the guardrail.
Okay.
They would use that same extrusion as the handrail. Now, they may cause the claimant to cost more, that's a possibility, but in keeping with the aesthetic design, you've got an old world look and then you got a modern handrail. It's interchangeable, so I'm sure that they're gonna come back and say, well, the tube is a less expensive thing. The question is whether or not would we as a board be comfortable with that extrusion versus the traditional look of what's on the guardrail. Just take a look at the sample.
I'd like to know how much it costs.
Yeah,
If
and
it
that's fine.
if it costs double, then I'm okay with a round
Okay.
handrail.
Mr. Meldon?
Thank you, Mayor. Hazen, my comment or question is on item 10, determine tree safe percent or policy to increase. Most importantly, the sentence provide 5 to 25-year forecast. I did have a citizen reach out to me last weekend and ask a status update on that. And I realize your comment was that of the turnover in the GIS planner position, but.
Yeah, and so they are working, Kathy's not here, but they are working on that, and I think we're going to have some recommendations back to the board. There's progress being made on that between the new planner and Ralph Ramseur.
Okay, and to emphasize my portion of the item is provide that 5 to 25-year forecast of the tree safe area. What does it look like now versus the petitions that we've already approved or what is being constructed? What does that map look like 5 to 20 years out?
Yeah, and that, obviously, we know what we can do what we've had approved. Forecasting what's out, in the future is a little more difficult, but
Okay.
we work on that.
When you forecast the 20-year, can we forecast based upon what our town vision and plan and small area plans call for?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And just remember, we have a lot of R20 property out there that is not going to be R20 developed. So that's where the assumptions come in on development.
Okay. Understand. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other questions? Thank you, Mr. Manager, for that update. Next item is the tourism grants. And call on Corey King, come forward on that.
problem with that bid originally is, one, our folks couldn't tell whether there were 3 or 4 projects they wanted involved. Also, they did not submit a detailed budget. After meeting here, we went back with Kelly Barnhart, got that figured out. The Chamber of Commerce is looking for 3 events here: the car bike show, the arts walk, and the health fair, not 4. So that was reflected there, but we worked that out. They went back, what they like to suggest is this, is that we use as a floating figure for tourism every year 5% of the tourism fund balance for the previous year, because we've got a set figure there. That way, the thinking is, if the hotel motel tax, fast food tax comes in well, it's a benefit to these organizations to come back. If not, then, you know, it floats a little bit, although historically, I think we've done fairly well with that fund. Based on last year's fund, 5% would be $82,400. And there is an allocation on the sheet you've gotten in yellow that has, assuming that 82,400 is given what they want to do. You can see that everybody's been funded at least to the level of what they requested, you know, at least done last year, if not more. The chamber was slightly over what they had requested. Just a couple of dollars a year, striking out all those issues that we had. This way, at least the fund has some balance to, you know, what's available, the 5%, what's there. And as I think we've shown through the years, that every penny that's going out in this is coming back, certainly dollar for dollar, probably more than that. Some that comes back as direct money, which is rentals paid to the town for use of their facilities. And of course, the indirect money, hotel motel tax, fast food tax, and sales tax revenues for, you know, money that's spent here in town on other things. So our suggestion would be that the town considers using that 5% figure as a base every year, as a, you know, as a standard every year for the fund, based on the last year's fund balance. And we'd ask you to approve this. They've gone back through it. As you can see, the adjusted, you've got the middle columns are what was done on the original $63,000 allocation. The yellow is what we go to 82.4, and the right column is last year's allocation, which started out as 63,000, became here another 5,000 was thrown in at the time we presented it to the council.
Mr. Melton.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommended tourism grant award amounts to the selected nonprofit organizations, and included in that motion that we accept or allocate 5% of the tourism revenue in fiscal years going forward, allocate that toward the tourism grant process.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Buckley his opinion on the 5%.
I think that just to put an arbitrary 5% adjustment, I'm not sure how that will float from a legal standpoint. To go ahead and anticipate funding, and I realize it's based on funds received, but this grant of monies is not geared to the actual amount that you receive. So what is the 5%? Is it going to be based on the total receipt to the town? So I think each year you might want to consider that, but not make that an automatic 5% accelerator.
Well, how do they, are
And
we
you
gonna
need to
tell
tie it to
them?
a specific request also.
So are
So
we
it has to
gonna-
be a tourism project or program, and not just automatic funding because you're going to be doing some stuff, but we don't know yet what they're going to be doing on an annual basis.
Well, next year, we'll have to approve the percentage or the amount prior to the application process, so they won't know how much to award. I don't understand the legalities of saying 5% of our tourism revenues would be dedicated.
Well, they can use that as their suggested recommendation, of course.
Mhm.
But I don't think you need to bind yourself that you give them a COLA.
Right. So would it be more appropriate to, at this time, let them know next year to anticipate using 5%?
Well,
So, Charlie, I don't want to interrupt.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I was just, maybe as a thought process, the 5% is a guide, and that during the budget process, we could make it part of the budget, and then the board would actually approve it. Because then, once that number is approved, then it begins the process, and then everybody has to meet all the standards for tourism, like heads and beds and that kind of thing, and festivals. The only concern I got is I'm not sure we're gonna know all our money, because some things come in monthly. Now, we can project what we think, we know it now, because we're looking back 6 months from the budget, but we could probably make a pretty good estimate or adjust the budget.
Yeah, I think we used the, call it the previous year's number, and, by the time that we are ready to have this conversation with nonprofit groups, we will have that number of actual tourism dollars received, say for the previous year, ending. And I guess this is, you're exactly right, I think this 5% is a budget issue, and we would use that as our budget ask each, say each fiscal year, or during each budget process.
So would you rather me remove that portion from my motion?
I would, but also I don't have a problem with it being a guide, as the manager has said. That's, talking to the committee, use that as a guide in your recommendation, looking at what the fiscal budget is.
We'll set the budget.
Right, but to make that an automatic increase year in and year out and year in and year out without this board having a say-so on it, that bothers me a little bit. This board's the one that needs to award the tourism monies, but I don't have a problem, and I think the manager's suggestion is excellent, that it be a guide to come back and ask for, and if the monies are there, then they can award that grant, if that makes sense. And you have all kinds of questions, so let me get out of the way.
Okay, Mr. Higdon?
I've got a question about the actual amount awarded, so I can wait till we finish this other conversation if you like.
As do I, so let's go ahead and get some of the other conversation out of the way. And Mr. Query,
Yes, and
turn your microphone down.
Charlie, kind of to go along, I think y'all are aware that all of it has to be tied to money spent on heads and beds and that type thing. So you wouldn't be bringing to us anything that does not meet those qualifications. Is that correct?
Yeah, what we're talking about is initial pot of money, then the application go out, and then they're vetted for meeting the criteria. So there are two things going on. The first question is how much money will be available? And that's, we talk about 5% of the guideline, but then the applications come in. If it doesn't meet that criteria, it's not, the committee is not going to suggest who can award to meet the criteria. It's specific heads and beds, fast food, something that's basically bringing people in town.
So y'all wouldn't have a problem with having that as a rough idea to work with then, and not firm for sure. I think it would turn out to be firm in my mind anyhow before it's over
We
with,
don't really
but,
have a firm amount right now.
okay.
It's just a percentage. This at least allows it, it gives you some ability to flow. If it's been a good year in that, you've got the ability to up it. If it's not, it just kind of floats and gives us a rationale for what the amount of money in the program is gonna be.
Okay, good.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you. I think Corey hit the nail on the head. Since we're getting this money monthly, if we used last year's tourism dollar income, and let's say we gave out $68,000 last year, and the year prior was X in tourism dollars, then you establish a baseline percentage or base it on the $82,400, whatever you feel is right. But it's based on the prior year's total, dollar value that the tourism fund brought in. And then, like Mr. Melton is saying, we would vote on it, and up it or down it depending on either income or planned expenses. If we're funding X for tourism, let's say it would be a greenway to the Sportsplex, then maybe we're putting more there one year and cut back. But I think it has to be based, because it's a rolling number that comes in monthly, it would have to be based on the prior year's income. That's my feeling.
Okay, Mr. Higdon, do you want to go back
Yes,
to
I
the
just,
original question?
Howie, I had a question as to why some of the organizations like MARA and the I think there was another one on here, got awarded more than they asked for, whereas others did not get the amount they did ask for. So why would we award more than the organization asked for?
I was not present, or I can explain to you better than I could.
Do you think, in those examples, Mara and the
Chamber of Commerce, yep.
really, the impact that the committee saw Mara having on tourism, just based on the applications, they did want to, I guess, recognize that, and since we wanted to go with that award amount, I don't think it was, I'll say, the committee did have to have a couple different conversations. They did want to maximize the amount of them, but there was that conversation where it was not just an automatic, awarding the entire number of funds available, just to make sure that it's accounted for. They did have that conversation, but I do think just with the history, relationship with Mara, and the chamber, the impact they make on that is worth it.
And also the chamber, by giving us some more information, changed the bid that came in the second time was not identical to the one that came in the first time.
Okay.
Let me ask a question along those same lines. That last time we had the original recommendation that's up there, and the question really was around Matthews Chamber, and we asked you to go back and look at that. What I didn't expect to see was a 30% increase in your funding, and I don't understand, especially with one like North Carolina Youth Rugby Union. I mean, how do we go from 12 to 15,000 from the conversation we had last time?
Part of the conversation we had last time was to put a figure to the pot of money for it to be available. That was, we said to go back and deal with the chamber issue, and I also understood, and maybe I misunderstood, we would go back and figure out what would be a fair allocation, because we talked about the fact that $63,000 has been static for as long as we can remember. And that's what we went back, looked at it, and went from there. They played with certain numbers, and that they wanted to try and come up with some kind of formulation that would work more closely with what was in the fund. And I think that's where the 5% figure came up.
It was, I think, just in some of the comments from the last meeting, I guess to come up with that 5%, $82,000 figure. One of the objectives was, of course, to come up with an amount that we felt would be impactful to the organizations and help them work toward what we're striving for, which is increasing tourism visitation in Matthews. The original recommendations really were geared toward, or I guess working toward that number we had, which was $62,000, and cabinet, the suggestions, add that $62,000. Looking at the revised number from staff at $82,400, they then sort of recalibrated what they would suggest. And again, looking at what the impact that they perceive these organizations to have on Matthews, because those were the figures that came out of those conversations.
Well, I guess part of the concern that I have is last year, if you look at these, for instance, and I'm not picking on any particular organization, but last year we gave the ballet 1,000. Now we're more than doubling their money. Mara was 11,000. Now we're saying 14. My experience is FY18 award amount. The ask that's going to come in next year is not going to be any less than the 18 award amount. So, I mean, we're creating something here, and I guess to some extent I'm a little bit concerned about the depth of thought that went into this and why last year, we gave them $1,000, they requested $2,500, and what basis in that particular case should we more than double the amount of money? And really, you can kind of look down the whole string. The Kiwanis Club race was 0, and they asked for 2,000, and, you know.
Well, I don't think Kiwanis Club did make an application last year for the race.
Okay.
We're giving historical figures, but they didn't ask last year,
That's why it's 0, yeah. Yeah,
There were a number there were 2 or 3 that were turned down last year because they didn't meet the criteria, but they did not reapply this year, so that's why they're not on the sheet.
And I'll say certainly, I mean, there have been groups that were not recommended for award. There are some examples of those. I do think when you look at the original recommendation, say $1,000 for Charlotte City Ballet, each of the applications were sort of graded on a number scale, so there was some quantitative justification for the award amounts on the back pages of this document. And I'll say the subcommittee really wanted to maximize the funds available, but at the same time, reward those that were most impactful to managers at a higher level than those that they sort of graded as, say, less impact. Granted, just the number of people, Charlotte City Ballet will bring in roughly, say, less than 1,000 people for the 2 shows, whereas the number of people that Mara, say, expects to bring into and around Matthews is, who knows? I mean, they gave some figures in the application, but it's, thousands of people coming in and around Matthews, just being a part of the tournaments, other items that we mentioned on that.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you. Corey, I think one of the other things that we discussed briefly was at Mara, making sure that we have a Town of Matthews banner with our website or Matthews Fund, whichever you prefer, but some type of promo so that when people are in the stands and they're checking out what to do in the area, not that they need our website to find that, but that we have some type of promotional material on the banner around the fields of Mara.
You should add that as a criteria. ASC, for example, you get a tank from ASC, you've got to brand everything you touch with their logo, a sponsor, whatever. We can do pretty much the same here if we haven't already done it.
Yeah, anything, maybe anything above 10,000 should be quantified as, should be branded by, or we should have our logo on present.
The cost on promotional materials is negligible. If you want a banner, that's the only place it's going to be a substantial cost. But anything to hand out, website, whatever, that's really a low cost option to each of these organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Melton?
Thank you, Mayor. I was enthusiastic to make the motion, and I did so because I felt that both Corey and Howie went back after our last discussion and did exactly what we asked them to do. And I'm sensing that some board members maybe don't share the same feeling that I am. I think we told them to go back and take 5% of that tourism fund for this year, and I feel that they've done exactly what we've asked them to do. Are we having, as a board, now that we see what those numbers really look like, and I'll compare it to the enthusiasm we have at a planning conference and how that enthusiasm wanes when it comes budget time to actually pay for those things. And I just ask the board, now that we see what these real numbers look like, do we have concern now?
Well, I'll say that the only one that I expected to come back significant was the chamber, because we talked about that. But just because Daddy's got a lot of money in his pocket doesn't mean he's got to give it out to everybody. And so what I'm struggling with is the original recommendation, and now you come back and everything's just kind of just bumped up, and there's no explanation as to why that has occurred.
But I take that as how those numbers went up, because they did exactly what we asked them to do from our last meeting.
Originally, we only had 62,000
Right.
spent, and that was the
Right.
recommendation was based on that. We were told to go back, look at them again, and reassess it. That was based on what was requested against what they felt was valid, and that's where the 82.4 figure came from. I had to recuse myself because of
And all I'm saying is just because we got the 82.4 doesn't mean we have to give it out. We need to be able to justify, there was something originally that was justified, and if it's simply just based on the amount of money, then maybe we're needing to go back and rethink how we're approaching this. Because I think there's a aspect of need, contribution to the community. You know, there's a lot of things that need to be factored into this. And the one that really sticks out are the ballet and the rugby union. I mean, I have no basis as to why those were increased that much, other than the money.
I can tell you why, because their numbers look good. They have been bringing people in for it. Now, I don't know about the ballet, but I have dealt with the rugby for a couple of years. They've had tournaments. They do certainly meet that heads in bed criteria. Corey could probably tell you more about that.
I got a comment, but there's a couple of folks that.
Mr. Mint?
As a former grant writer, I would just, and there's only about 2 of them up there, but I would be very hesitant to give someone more than they actually recommended, because just as the mayor said, I think earlier, as a grant writer, you do know what you got from the previous, and you're going to ask for that or more the next time around. But I was concerned about the chamber last time. And that is one that we're coming back again now. We were almost half of what they asked, and now we're coming back with a little more than they asked. So I just recommend not exceeding the ask.
Just one thing to note is because of the chamber, because things were quite frankly not done well by the chamber the first time around. When they came back and we talked to Kelly and explained exactly what we wanted, things changed as far as the chamber goes, and that's the rationale
Okay.
for that. You know, what was the other one? Mara, once again, Corey can address that better than I could, but the chamber had problems because Kelly just, to be honest with you, Kelly's very good, but she didn't follow directions. She didn't submit a budget until we went back and said, look, do it or else. And that straightened out that problem.
Mr. Query?
Yeah, the overall amount I don't have a problem with, but it is a concern where you, I'll have to remember that. It is a concern to me where the amount they asked for, they got greater than the amount. And then you get down to Matthews Playhouse, which we know is a definite profit to us or income to us. They got less, and I would have just thought that whatever they had asked for would be the top amount you would get if they got that, but you would share that on down the line. But that's just my thinking on that. So.
And that would be great, except obviously the ask is always going to be more than the pot of money. That's just the nature of grants and budget writing. You know, your organizations are always going to be seeking a higher figure than.
No, I'm looking. The one that I'm looking at is like the Chamber of Commerce asked for 11.8 and you gave them 12. I would have thought you'd give them 11.8 at the max on one like that, and then you what was the other one up there? I had the same problem. Matthews Athletic, you got 13.5 asked, you gave them 14. I would have thought that extra 500 would have gone to someone who asked for a larger amount instead of going over the amount they asked for. But that's just my thinking.
The chamber is a separate case, and I know I've been through it before because of the mess that happened at the initial budget process.
Yeah.
If it happens again, I think Kelly now understands, you know, how to deal with this, and hopefully we won't go through this a second time.
Okay.
Mr. Manager?
So I do have a suggestion. I do think it's a little hard to go to 5% at mid-year, right? So like this bump up is right in the middle of fiscal year. I think we should use it as guidance in preparing next year's budget, that you would actually, the board would adopt the amount that would be used for the grants. And then the grant process, after that's approved, the grant process is all set up on that number. This grant process wasn't set up on $82,400. So my suggestion would be, under the original subcommittee recommendation, which is the second column or the third column from the left, or the middle column, I guess another way to say it, is keep all of them the same that came in as original recommendation, but add $5,800 to the chamber's request so that the total goes to 68,800. We, the concept of this 5%, that's something we could address next fiscal year and really have a different process from the get-go, because it does seem we've kind of changed horses in midstream to me a little bit here.
And I will say that that was part of the confusion, because I didn't walk away from the discussion thinking we were going to do that this year. I thought that was going forward. So that's why the 5% is concerned me a bit.
I thought we had decided for extra amount.
Mr. Urban?
If I recall the last meeting, it was Commissioner Query that said that obviously the 63,000 has been stagnant for several years, and everybody agreed that there should be some inflation value to that. I threw out the hypothetical 5% design guideline, which I think is a guide, is a good idea. To the mayor's point, doesn't mean you have to spend it all as well. We always have a tendency, we have a pot of money, we're going to use every dollar in it. I think akin to what Hazen was just talking about, I'd like to sort of offer up something here. I think what Cress was talking about wasn't an $80,000 range, $80,000 or $85,000 range. What I would like to suggest, based on what Hazen had mentioned, is that a little play here, and I don't want to spend all night long dealing with this, but the Charlotte City Ballet, I split the difference between the award amount last year and the revised amount, and I came up with $1,700. I looked at Mara. I wouldn't give anybody more than they asked for, so it's $13,500. The Chamber would be $11,800. Kiwanis would be the 2. Rugby would be the 15, and the Playhouse would be the 37. So it only comes up to $79,000. It does commit to the board, I think, as a consensus, wanting to increase the amount. It does sort of center around the 5%, but it also centers around the fact that we don't have to spend all the money either. And that's what I would kind of put out there. It does sweeten the pot on a few. It does pull back a few, because, again, I don't think you want to be giving more money than what they're actually requesting. So just food for thought at $79,000, make some adjustments on those numbers, and we just sort of need to move forward if we're going to be hard and fast about in that plus or minus $80,000 a year or 5% number.
Mr. Query?
Part of the discussion, as I remember at last meeting, was that we needed to go back and come up with a percentage. I made a lump sum figure last time, but it was mentioned that we need to come up with a percentage that we could go with each year, was my understanding. And I thought that once we set the figure, it doesn't have to be hard and firm, but it gives them something to come back to us with, and then we can adjust it. And I feel like all of these probably do, but the only ones that I would disagree with are the ones who got more than they asked for. And then you take one like Matthew's Playhouse, which bottom line is that helps us keep that building up down there. And that's money that's coming directly back into the town for expenditures, and yet it's expended for the exact right amount, right reasons. So that's where I would have put the extra, but that's, my thinking would be don't go over what they asked for. That's over sweetening the pie. But maybe I don't know, maybe y'all went back out to them again and asked what is a real figure, and maybe that's not what's being shown. Is that, you still working with the same figure you had?
No, the other conversations we had were with the chamber. The other groups, the committee just simply read through the application again, and just sort of recalibrated what the amounts.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Urban, would you consider what your suggestion a potential motion? Because I think it's a good compromise. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I think it was a good outline.
Maybe if Commissioner Melton wants to amend his motion, I would have no problem with that either. I can walk him through it.
No, I'll amend, and if you've got them written down.
I'll give you the
John.
numbers.
Okay.
That's just what they asked for.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's adjusted, but.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion if given the opportunity, for the amounts Commissioner Urban listed in his comments just a few minutes ago, if you wouldn't mind.
I will clarify that the ballet was 1,700. Mara is 13,500. The chamber, 11,800. Kiwanis, 2,000. The rugby, 13,000.
13 or 15?
No, what I did is I took the last year's award and the revised subcommittee, and I split the difference.
Okay.
So I'm giving a little bit, but not all. So 13 on the rugby, and the Playhouse is 37,000 for a total of 79,000.
And I'll, again, I'll amend my motion to include those amounts just stated by Commissioner Urban.
I'll amend my second.
Kumbaya.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, I'd like to make a substitute motion to approve the original subcommittee recommendation in the third column, increase in Matthews Chamber of Commerce to $11,800, giving a total of $68,800 to be dispersed to the organizations as set forth by the tourism grant evaluations that were done. Is there a second? Okay, motion fails, so I guess we're back to the first motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, let the record reflect that all commissioners have voted in favor and the mayor votes against the motion. Okay, the next item on the agenda is mini planning conference agenda.
Mayor, I do have one comment about that. So we had a discussion today down at the Public Works Department about DOT would like to know what kind of betterments do we want to make to Independence Boulevard 2509. And when we talk about betterments, we're talking about sidewalks and multi-use path associated with this big project, which includes bridges, includes the parallel roads, you know, Northeast Parkway and Independence Point Parkway. And we talked about maybe doing this at a 5:30 discussion, and they want some preliminary approvals from the board by December 10th. And we talked about doing it at the meeting. We could do it at the 5:30 meeting on the 10th, but Kathy's got her reception at 6 o'clock. It's more than, I think it's more than a 30-minute discussion. We could talk about it at the regular meeting on the 10th. The other thought I had was at lunch, of course, well, on Saturday, adding this discussion point to lunch at 12 o'clock on Saturday. So I guess the question is, what's the pleasure of the board?
Fine with me.
It's fine with me, but I'd like to make a comment. I mean, DOT takes years to do anything, and they give us a week to come up with a list of stuff or whatever. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous request. But, I mean, I'm fine to discuss it during the planning conference.
So where are we adding that?
That item will be discussed during the lunch hour.
Oh, okay.
Is that the same item that's at 2:30 on Friday?
No.
Yeah, it is.
2:30 on Friday is really about the look, the brand, you know, like what are the meetings going to look like? What could the overpasses look like from a design standpoint?
Okay. And then what you're talking about is specifically associated with.
Yeah, so DOT will pay for 1% of it, but if we widen the bridge, they want us to pay for a portion, as an example, of widening the bridge, similar to what happened at Weddington Road. That's the kind of classic example. Now, this is a project that's going to take 5 or 6 years to build, and it's a design build, so we wouldn't have to be responsible for any of these payments until the end of the construction. So, but we got to decide now so they can go to the next step of design.
So
Okay?
you're just asking, we talk about it at lunch?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Mayor, may I ask for a point of clarification?
Yes.
Hazen, 8:30, Saturday, 8 o'clock Saturday, item 7C2. Is that the Domenico's lot that you and I emailed each other about?
Yes. 1 is the Domenico. C1 is the Domenico's property. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, you're exactly right. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Higdon?
Got a question. How much is Dr. Tippett's attendance going to cost us?
The work that she's done is going to cost approximately $3,000.
Is that all?
That's all.
Okay.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you. On the 230, discuss branding overpasses and medians. I've been rather passionate about the topic of branding our town. I have two options. They're both PowerPoint presentations. They would take 5-10 minutes each. Lori has seen both of them. I've given them to Park and Rec. One of them went to Park and Rec and the other one went to Economic Development. And actually, some people have seen them both. I'm looking for somebody else to push them up to us so that we can take direction. I guess my question to this board is, could I potentially share those PowerPoint presentations during that period? And you don't have to act on it or anything, but absorb it. I think that branding and identity and public art and things of that nature would help this town, and I'd like to share my ideas with the board. Give it some consideration.
And you'd like to do that during that?
Yeah, if it's
2:33?
appropriate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it would define an
Okay.
identity of our town besides our logo.
All right. So is it okay if I just add that? Sounds like 15 minutes or so?
Yeah, that's all it would take.
Just as item 3B, I guess.
The PowerPoints are ready and they're not lengthy.
Mr. Query?
I'm not sure whether we're talking about our agenda or whether we're talking about the state request. If we're talking about the state request, we gave them $6 million, and why they can't give us the sidewalk on that is, there's no way I'd support giving them anything. They need to come back and do the same thing we did. They can give us a little extra money, and we're not asking for $6 million.
It's a good question, Commissioner Query.
I think our manager needs to negotiate that.
The way I look at this is these things on Independence Boulevard are 50-year decisions. You know, the best example is the only sidewalk crossing we got over 485 is a 3-foot wide sidewalk there at Pleasant Plains Road. You're exactly right about what you've said. In my view, DOT does not care about what we did. All they care about is their rules. And I mean, I wondered if politically, right, we could do that. Representative Brawley was, I think, had great standing with the ability to get things done. I do not think that's going to be possible to negotiate with them because we spent $6 million on a road that was their road. They're going to say, yep, thanks a lot, and they have moved on. And I think if we want to do this in staff perspective, long-term for our community, we just have to have a serious discussion about some of these betterments. I don't think we're going to be able to go to DOT and negotiate kind of, well, we did this for you, we did this for you a couple of years ago on South Trade.
But they haven't even finished what part of that $6 million. They haven't finished their little piece. And the time they had, and they're asking us for more money on that too. And that's just me. I can't support anything along those lines. I want it for the town. I can't support us spending the money. We need to make them spend the money and talk to them about what's been done in the past.
It's good that we'll be talking about that at
Yeah.
lunch on Saturday then.
I was gonna say, we can talk about that during that lunch.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Urban?
Just one quick item, on the presentation on 1 PM on Friday, I know it's open to the public, but Commissioner Melton and I have had several discussions with the Executive Director of the Levine Foundation, Tom Lawrence, and Wyatt Dixon, and we've been keeping them abreast of this particular presentation. So I'm going to reach out to them and ask them to attend, so I just wanted as an FYI from that aspect of it. But they're very interested in the demographic trends for the town and the community, and we've been talking to the foundation as an adjunct about affordable housing issues and all, and they wanted to be apprised of when this took place. So I just wanted to let everybody know we'll go ahead and invite them.
Yeah, that's a great, in fact, when we originally started talking about this, we wondered, is there a way to combine her presentation with some kind of, with EDACT and the kind of community stuff they're doing? I think there's going to be some aha moments that the community at large needs to know, and maybe we could bring her back in 6 months or something like that to to have a community lunch.
That's what we believe there will be.
Right. We just couldn't sync everything up.
And Tom and Wyatt just, they don't want to take action or participate at this time or at this juncture. They would just like to be able to listen and take in that data as well. But this is an open meeting. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay, anything else? All right. We'll move on then to the new business. We have the public hearing on the abandonment of a portion of Mount Harmony Church Road. Do we have a motion on that issue?
I'll make a motion to adopt the attached resolution to close a portion of Mount Harmony Church Road and direct staff to file it with the Office of the Register of Deeds for Mecklenburg County.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Higdon. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is consider request for ticket sales associated with Fullwood Theater. And Corey?
Yes, we got the request from the Hindu Center of Charlotte, nonprofit organization, that's the funds to grant Fullwood Theater in March, and they are requesting to sell tickets and also.
Corey, if you could hold on a minute. It's hard to hear you.
You probably just got to talk closer to
It's not on.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
The Hindu Center of Charlotte, a nonprofit organization, approached or made a request to rent Fullwood Theater for a lose my words here, a ceremony / presentation in the theater. But part of that, they wanted to sell tickets, but then also jewelry and apparel that represents the theme of their event that day. And I guess in line with other asks, come to the board to ask permission to allow them to sell tickets and also allow sale of those items in the lobby during the event.
Mr. Milton?
Thank you, Mayor. Corey, the most recent one that comes to my memory is a ballet event that we've discussed previously in selling tickets. Have we, in recent history, denied a comparable request from anyone?
No, not a, no.
Thank you.
Mr. Higdon?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request by the Hindu Center of Charlotte to sell tickets, concessions, and apparel as part of the rental agreement associated with the Bollywood musical performance for March 8, 2019.
Second that.
Motion made by Commissioner Higdon, seconded by Commissioner DeMint. Any discussion? Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Just a simple question. Do you mind sharing what the rental is for the theater?
The theater is for a nonprofit, I'm gonna say it's $400. And it's typically one rental a day. So we could say per hour, but usually that group is in there for the better part of a day, so hard to get more than one in a day.
So $400 would be the rental amount. Is there any staff time, additional staff time that would be required for the town?
Additional, no. I will need to confirm the hours. But I'm gonna say typically it would be, I'm gonna say it's a Saturday performance, so time that our staff would be in the building.
Okay.
Just only if it were to go past 10 o'clock, which I don't think it does, but then some other charge. And overtime hours are charged separately than the theater rental.
Okay. Thank you. I just think that that's rather inexpensive. I was expecting it to be $1,000 or whatever, but
When's the last time we looked at rental rates? It was close to the recession. It seems like it was, maybe we were just coming out of the recession.
It is, and actually that's something that we're talking about now. I guess taking a closer look at our fees for the theater and the rooms in the community center, and also some other discussions you'll hear. We'll bring to you about Cruise Road also. But let me confirm that. That is off the top of my head and not always the best resource.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mint?
Yes, I just wanted to say I think this is a great example of what we can do and should be doing to celebrate other cultures. I've worked in India, and having them to be able to have the jewelry sales and things like that will just add so much to the cultural experience for those who attend. And I think we have quite a bit of the Indian community, the Asian Indian community that will attend.
Yes.
Mr. Urban?
I agree with Commissioner Miller. If we could just put it on there to circle back on these, I think we should extend all courtesies to the nonprofits. But at the same time, I can't imagine the building being occupied for a duration of time, the mechanical load, electrical load, the cleaning, the maintenance, the unintended consequences. $400 seems like a losing proposition for us. I think anybody in business would be reasonably expect we would recoup minimal costs on that. And I do think that $400 is extremely generous. And maybe we can just go back and rough that out again, nonprofit versus profit. That is our preeminent flagship facility. And obviously by this event, there'll probably be other people that see this event. And I've always was told if you're close to free or really cheap, you're taking for granted. And I think we need to make sure that we're all covered. You're a very expensive man. And
We
so-
are definitely going to look at our user fees. And again, let me confirm that amount. I think the $400 is sort of stuck, but let me double check that.
That's fine.
That sounds right. I think that's right. I remember.
You probably heat and cool that building $400 a day.
Yeah.
That'd be something that would be good to put right in the memo so that we can base our decision off of it.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? All right. Motion's been made to approve. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment, Mayor, if I may. Is our Cultural Diversity Council aware that this event is even taking place? You have the staff liaison share that with them. It seems something they'd be excited about.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
You are.
Make yourself a
Okay, next item, 12C, is presentation of the audit. I'll call on the manager for that.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna, I don't think that's the presentation. So the auditor's gonna come up. You have a presentation? There it is. You'll have to introduce yourself. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Strap yourselves in. This is going to get exciting.
Yes. Thanks. Yes, my name is Zachary Triplett. I'm a senior accountant with Martin Sarns Associates CPAs PA. Good evening, Mayor and members of the Town Council. We thank you for allowing us to serve as your auditors again this year. We do not take this relationship for granted, and we truly appreciate the opportunity to serve you and look forward to working with you in years to come. Some of the audit highlights. We issued a unmodified or clean audit opinion. And I would also like to thank Chris Tucker and Lindsay Wiggs. We worked with them throughout the audit process, and they were very good, very prepared, and just really easy to work with. This slide shows your total fund balance for the general fund in comparison over 3 fiscal years, starting in 2016 through fiscal year 2018. From fiscal year 2016 to fiscal year 2017, the fund balance increased $1,017,409, or 12%. And from fiscal year 2017 to fiscal year 18, the fund balance increased $1,974,574, or 21%. And this increase was mostly due to unspent monies for transportation projects. This is a calculation of your available fund balance. The Local Government Commission uses available fund balance to compare the town to other entities throughout North Carolina. The available fund balance is calculated by taking the total fund balance for the year, which was $11,481,073, subtracting non-spendable items, which in your case was prepaid items of $4,049, and then subtracting items that are restricted by state statute, which is $1,577,609. And that gives you available fund balance of $9,899,415 for fiscal year 2018. At the bottom, we listed the available fund balance for fiscal year 17, as you can see, and there was an increase of $2,041,654, which is around 26%. This slide shows your available fund balance as a percent of expenditures and transfers out. There was an increase of 6% from fiscal year 2017, giving you a available fund balance percentage of 45%. The available fund balance percent is essentially how many months you can cover your expenditures if all funding sources cease, and the LGC requires a minimum fund balance percentage of 8%. So a fund balance percentage of 45% means you can cover between 5 and 6 months of expenditures. This is a summary of general fund revenues and expenditures. For fiscal year 2018, revenues increased by $1,038,538, and expenditures increased by $1,599,053. And I will go into more detail in later slides of the three largest categories for revenues and expenditures. But in summary, the three largest revenues were ad valorem taxes, other taxes and licenses, and sales and services. And the three largest categories of expenditures were public safety, which consists of police and fire, general government, and public works. Ad valorem taxes for fiscal year 2018 were $12,904,108, which was an increase of $606,000 $63,019, or 5.4%. And this increase was due to tax base growth. Other taxes and licenses for fiscal year 2018 were $5,288,302, which was an increase of $213,014, or 4.2%. And other taxes and licenses consist of sales tax and utilities, franchise tax, and other miscellaneous taxes. Sales and services for fiscal year 2018 were $1,935,578, which was an increase of $213,253, or 12.4%. And this was mainly due to rental fees and community center revenue increases. Public safety expenditures were $9,322,459 for fiscal year 2018. This was an increase of $1,374,289, or 17.3%, and this was due to capital outlay expenditure increases. General government expenditures for fiscal year 2018 were $3,223,523, and this was an increase of $110,828, or 3.6%, and that was due to increases in salaries and employee benefits. Public Works expenditures for fiscal year 18 were $2,883,874. It's an increase of $614,663, or 21.3%.